Believe you can create, see it as innate in the dream room. Yeah, we're bringing dreams to life in the place to shine in the dream room. Yeah.
Welcome to the Dream Room. Today we celebrate the journey of a writer who brings rich, nuanced narratives to life. I am excited to welcome Yang Huang, the award-winning author of several compelling novels, including The Good Son. Her work thoughtfully delves into Chinese family dynamics, offering readers an intimate look at the complexities of identity, generational tension, and cultural heritage. Join us as we discuss her unique perspective on storytelling, the inspiration behind her powerful novels, and her journey to becoming an acclaimed voice in contemporary fiction. Yang, welcome.
Thank you, Amytra. It's an honor to be on your show. I really enjoy your show. You ask good questions and you're a good listener.
Oh, thank you. Would you mind sharing a little bit about your background, perhaps how and why you became a writer to begin with?
I was an avid reader and I love stories. I read a lot of Western novels in translation while I was growing up. Because the sensibility suited me better, I enjoy the rational and emotional stories rather than the melodramatic, formulaic stories of Chinese contemporary literature as a result of a state censorship. So since I was young, I was particularly sensitive to social injustice. And the people weren't aware of other people's point of views. Many people were quick to judge others who seemed a little bit different. I was particularly drawn to the missing narratives that every person has their own reasoning and agency. I think that eventually led me to become a writer because I want to tell the untold stories. I want to see these people and their emotions.
So in My Good Son, that's your latest work?
Yes.
I read it. I listened to it on Audible, actually. I loved it. Just loved it. You explore the complexities of family dynamics, especially the pressure of parental expectations. How did your own experiences shape the portrayal of the father-son relationship in the book?
The protagonist, Mr. Cai, is an overbearing father. I knew this father, even though he wasn't my father. But I didn't know tailoring, so I did a lot of research. I grew up with a naughty brother. He wasn't at all like Fan, but I knew the tension and dynamics between the father and son. So this gave me the energy to weave this story. Tailoring is a great metaphor. The tailor crafts clothes in a way that he has certain expectations and beliefs about his son. They're bound to have a lot of conflicts and have much to learn about each other. So I took that as an opportunity to write this story.
Okay. Also, do you feel it's that the tension between traditional family values and individual desires is a generational conflict that is universal, or do you think it's more pronounced within the context of Chinese or immigrant families?
I believe most parents want their children to have better lives and have more opportunities they themselves had. So I think that's a universal yearning. But it's more pronounced in Chinese families because they're so fixated on giving the best education possible to their children in a very competitive environment, both in China and overseas.
Your book also touches on the themes of identity, belonging, and the immigrant experience. How do you view the concept of home in the context of your characters, and how does it evolve throughout the story?
Mr. Cai thinks home is a place where he can launch his unambitious son into a good, happy life. Little does he know that his son has his own ambition. He wants to become a tailor like his father. So Mr. Cai doesn't give himself enough credit for things that he does well. Instead, he strives for something he does poorly. So he becomes overbearing and he nags his son. So I thought that makes an interesting story.
Yeah. So the conflict in My Good Son seems to center around family expectations, particularly the father's view of success and identity. Did you ever struggle with defining success or fulfillment means within the context of the character's choices, not you personally?
I know what the characters want, and I realize that sometimes they conflicted about their choices, especially in hindsight. For example, the father corrects Fenn's left-handedness by forcing him to write with the right hand. But when he sees Jude, American man, writes with his left hand, he sees that he was too hard on Fenn, but he had to do it out of obligation with the best intentions. Sure. So that Fenn can have an easier life. I'm very conscious about the perspective like then and now, and that creates a tension.
I'm going to move on to writing and craft. The novel is deeply introspective, with characters often caught in a web of internal and external expectations. How did you approach writing the internal monologues and emotions of your characters to make them feel so authentic?
I need to see the characters very clearly in my mind's eye to extent that I don't even rationalize about the action. I just need to become them as much as possible. Be in the bodies, if you will, see their house and greet the customers as a tailor might, have their jealousy, insecurity, and sometimes hopes and dream and joy at every turn. So yeah, do not rationalize and just see them.
Okay. And that kind of goes into my next question. I often hear authors say, like, the character tells me where they want to go. The character informs me what they'll do next. Or sometimes the character surprises me. What is that? Can you just bring me into that world of that process?
Yeah, they were right. Seeing your characters one of the greatest joys of fiction writing. I need to saturate myself with their emotion, skills, and experiences. As they become stronger, I, as a creator, fade into the background. They begin to rise and walk on their own legs, take me down a path that's surprising and very exciting for me to discover. I learn something from them, and that's my purpose of writing those stories.
Do you remember the first time that happened for you?
With this story, or
You can tell even any story you like.
actually, this story came to me as a strange vision. I saw a middle-aged Chinese tailor who spent his entire life making clothes for other people. One day, he puts on a long, full-fitting dress and walks in heels with difficulty. I asked myself, does he want to become a woman, or is he driven by something else? So I just stalked him and learned about his family, his past, his regrets, hopes, and dreams. I was fortunate that this story came to me as a vision. And in my best moments writing fiction, this is what happens.
Oh, that's beautiful. I wasn't expecting that answer. What do you find the most challenging part of crafting the emotional trajectory of the novel?
This story, the most challenging part is how the son's letting down his pregnant girlfriend. That feels so harsh. But I have to let him make mistakes and not correct him or make this a happy story, because he learns a bigger lesson about himself. And I always give my characters agency out of respect and out of curiosity to see what they can do with it.
Oh, so how did you keep the balance between tension and resolution?
I actually knew, this ending pretty early on. So I decided not to make it artificial, a happy story, because I believe all this conflict and tension needs to have consequences.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think the bitter ending just rings true for me from the beginning. And
I agree with you. I wanted the happy ending because I'm used to American movies, but it did feel more real. I think it made it much like life.
yeah, hence people ask for a sequel.
Yes, and I do want a sequel. Want to see what happens next. What, in your opinion, is the protagonist's journey one of redemption or a deeper understanding of himself?
I think the entire family, especially the son, has a deeper understanding of himself. I feel deeply about all the characters. Did you guess that the biggest discovery about the son's biggest discovery about himself, what the possibilities might be?
I don't think so, because I don't want to give away too much because it's a critical part of the story. But for people that might want to listen or read later. But the background of the father, his experience as when he was Feng's age, then you could understand what informed him, what made him so determined to push Feng in a certain direction.
Yeah.
And keep him. Basically, he was trying to keep him out of trouble. He was just trying to be a good parent. But it was terribly sad in the sense that I feel like the father didn't fully appreciate his own gifts.
Exactly.
Like what he had to contribute and offer.
Right.
And that it was actually just such a beautiful thing that his son wanted to follow in his footsteps. That was, but he's coming from a different place.
Yes. The son loves him, respects him so much, but he doesn't act like it. Right. And so son's discovery is by himself, about his own sexuality. See, he will continue to learn about that and discover.
Oh, okay. I'm curious. Now I'm even more curious now to see where his story goes. So it seems to me the novel addresses complex themes of love, sacrifice, and maybe guilt. What is the most important sacrifice made by any character in My Good Son?
I think all the characters learn that they cannot control other people's sense of self, their emotions, affection, or love, no matter how hard they try or with the best intention. In Little Ye, the girlfriend's case, she does not tell Fen that she's pregnant so that he can focus on studies. And this is the biggest sacrifice.
That was a huge sacrifice.
This begins the story and leads the characters down an inevitable path. But you could also argue that she does it out of selfish reason.
So I'm interested.
Because she thinks they will become a couple.
Okay.
If he's doing well, then she will do well.
Oh, that's true.
So she does it out of selfish reason. It's same thing with the father's love. He does it the love's not so altruistic. It's also kind of selfish. If the son's successful, he's happy too.
True.
But they need to learn that they cannot control other people. You want them to feel this way, go this way, they will go just different ways, even though they may be doing it for the right reasons.
I remember that moment with my own daughter when I was trying to push her to be certain something or make a certain decision. And then I realized after she moved out, the first time she had a conflict, I rushed over to her apartment and tried to handle it for her. And she's looking at me and her boyfriend's looking at me. Then I realized, oh my God, I am totally out of place right now. She's an adult and she can do what she wants to. And it's very poignant. I kind of understand Feng's dad.
Yeah. And all the parents learn this the hard way. And your kids would do it for the right reasons, but they would just do it differently.
Absolutely.
For how you plan for them. And because they're their own people. And, and the kids need to learn the parents are own people too.
Yeah.
They will not become what you want them to be, but they will be there. They will provide the best support they possibly can with, to the best of their ability.
Absolutely. So the characters often struggle with reconciling their love for one another with their personal desires. Is this a theme you've seen reflected in your own life or in stories you've observed within your community?
Yes, they always, need to figure out how they can make the best of their lives. And, they need to figure out what's the best way to achieve their goals. And how selfish can they be while going about this? And how much they can control and how much they're willing to relinquish. I think that's what we struggle with every day. And there's always a lesson to be learned. But it doesn't mean, the things you did not so perfectly is always wrong. That means it caused certain consequences. Sure. Just have to face it. Yeah. And learn your lesson and deal with the consequences. Roll with the punches.
Absolutely. So moving into gender identity, the book subtly explores gender dynamics, particularly through the lens of the father's expectations. How do you think gender plays a role in shaping the ambitions and actions of the characters in My Good Son?
Yeah, the father definitely has very definitive expectations for his son because he is a son, not a daughter. But the mother, she just pulls string behind the backs to salvage a very difficult situation. So she hides her hand quite a bit, and she has a lot of power, even though she doesn't occupy a lot of pages.
She does.
Uh-huh.
She does.
So the gender has very interesting dynamics. In a way, all the women in this book play behind the backs, with a girlfriend, with a Zhao, the other girl. They're actually quite powerful.
Absolutely, I agree.
The men actually totally underestimate them.
Absolutely. I agree.
As in real life.
Yeah, and we learn to, I don't know, some people say it might be manipulative, but we have to function within our societal norms, right?
Yes.
And if you're married, you're going to live with this person for decades, hopefully, and you have to play your cards a certain way
Exactly.
to keep the peace.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So they're all kind of dictated by their circumstances, but also they have a lot of agency. Everybody has an agency. And I want to make sure to learn what they're capable of. I push them to the uttermost limit to see what they can do. Fight back against me.
The novel also has elements of reflecting on the past and how memory shapes the present, as I'm thinking of Mr. Kai's experience when he was Fang's age, and how that led to his occupation, how that led to his choices and his dreams for Fang. How do you see the role of memory in shaping the identity of your characters? Does it influence their actions in ways they don't fully understand?
It definitely does. It acts on a subconscious level. And all the backstories are mostly imagined. And they're also infused with modern Chinese history that has caused a lot of great suffering. For example, many landlords were executed in the land reform movement. And the one-child policy, the restriction that a couple could only have one child from late 70s to 2015 left indelible traumas in generations of Chinese families with only children. The effect is just long-lasting. And, it is, in this case, it's effective. Those other children that just simply are missing on their lives. And this story is just acts upon the present in a lot of ways.
What kind of feedback have you gotten in terms of criticism or a response that maybe surprised you or made you happy?
The reception has been very positive. I won several literary awards.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It won the gold medals in Nautilus, IBI, and IBPA Benjamin Franklin Awards. Silver medal in Forward Indies. Is also finalist in the Lambda Award. The harshest criticism about the book is how selfish the father seems. But, he's meant to be a flawed character.
Absolutely.
With humility and ability to grow. So I accept that criticism. And the most surprising feedback is that a number of readers want to see a sequel. So I'm sort of writing one.
Including me. Yay, you're writing one.
This can take years to complete, but I'm very excited. So it opens up doors for more work to come.
How has your writing process helped you understand yourself or process personal experiences?
In real life, people don't change, especially parents. But in My Good Son, everybody learns a lesson, and the father changed his mind about a fan. So I believe that we have a gentler, more just world in stories. And we can take that hope into our real life and give people a benefit of doubt that maybe if you act the right way, they might change. Or even if they don't, they will realize they're capable of seeing something more than they are willing to admit.
Wow, that's a beautiful answer. That was great. So for aspiring authors who may be listening, what would you say to aspiring novelists?
I will ask you to care deeply about your characters. This will sustain you through a difficult journey of writing and putting your stories out there. Not the money, nor fame, nor praises, or the lack of. these things just don't sustain creativity.
Mm-hmm. How did you decide to be an independent writer as opposed to, did you try to shop the story to major publishers?
I did. I shopped around for a number of years and ended up winning the UNO Publishing Lab Prize. So it was published by University of New Orleans Press. I had a great experience working with the editors and the press because I'm so passionate about the book, the story, and the characters. They, saw a lot more in them than I initially did. So revision was a great success. But I had to work very hard on the publicity front. And I was very happy to receive a New York Times review and other positive reviews. It was very encouraging. So you have to hit high, but ultimately you need to live with what you can achieve and make the best of it.
Okay. And then how does independent publishing work?
You can submit to them. I found this contest on Poets and Writers website, and you don't need an agent for that. There are a lot of very viable small presses that publish great risk-taking works that the big five, they're not willing to take.
Gotcha.
And there are just a tier of those presses that you can go through.
Okay.
And obviously, self-publishing is always an option.
Sure.
If you have that kind of bandwidth.
Right.
Still to do it.
Yeah. Were there especially helpful resources you encountered on your way to becoming an award-winning author?
I actually did it the traditional way. After I started to work as an engineer, I earned a BA, MA English, then a MFA in creative writing. Partly because English is my second language.
Okay.
I needed to read more and to become a better writer. It just took more training. For other writers, there are a lot of other resources, like writers' conferences, writing camps. You need to explore in your community.
Yeah.
But I do recommend MFA as a very good training for you to learn the form and resources out there.
Okay.
There, it's a very supportive community, and I learned it very quickly.
Yeah. This has been a very informative interview. I hope you'll come on the show again sometime, especially when you come out with the sequel to this one.
Thank you.
If people want to get a hold of My Good Son, where can they get a copy?
You can order from bookshop.org through your favorite independent bookstores, or for Amazon or Barnes & Noble, or request a copy from your local library. There's a great audiobook, and I, narrated by Nancy Wu. I loved her, and I'm so glad you enjoyed her.
Yes. Do you have a place to connect with readers or where we can go to see where you're up to?
Yeah. I give readings at local bookstores, libraries, and
in the Bay Area. I want to mention that. We didn't say where you lived.
And the literary events. Sometimes I travel.
Oh, okay.
You can look at my event page on yanghuang.com. So that's my name, YANGHUANG.com. I update my event page. I will talk to the journalism class at Cal Poly. And I will also give readings at Paso Robles AAUW and Santa Maria Public Library.
Oh, that's my alma mater. I went to Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. Okay, that's beautiful. Well, thank you so much for your thoughts and your time and sharing your journey with us today.
Thank you so much, Amytra. Yeah, I love your show.
Thank you.